everyone. Today we are going to look at Bootstrap forms. So what you're going to do, you're going to create a simple contact form. So I'll just create a new HTML file. So right click on your project, select new, then you choose HTML file. So this one, I can call this lesson 5. Press enter. So for the title, we can call this title contact us. And as usual, we are going to attach our files. I'll just open my previous lesson. So I'll copy these 4 lines of code, highlight them, Control C to copy, go to your new file, paste them below title, Control V. Then inside body, we are going to create a class called container. So we'll say .container. We can have a heading, let's say we can have a heading H2. Let's call this contact us. So we can put a horizontal rule, a HR. So we are going to divide this form into 2 different columns. So what we'll do, we are going to use .row, and then we'll have 2 different columns of our choice. We'll have 2 unique columns, whereby just like the CSS form, the first column will have the form itself, the second column will have the contact details of maybe the company and its logo and so on. So we can say .call-sm-6 times 2. So we'll tab. So in our first call sm6, this is now where we'll have the form itself. So we can create our form. Action, we can leave it empty for now. We can say method, we can use post. So inside the form, for the contact form, you're going to have first name, last name, email, telephone number, comments, and also a button. So here we'll start with the label greater than sign B. So I tab. So here I'll type here first name. So below here we'll say input, type that is text. I will give it a name. We call it F name, and then placeholder. We can say call it your first name. To validate it, we'll just use required. So I'll highlight the same. We copy, Control C, we come and paste down here, Control V. So this will be last name. So input type is text, name, I'll use L name, placeholder, I'll say your last name. We'll move down, I paste again. So we'll have email, address, input type here, this will be email, name, we can call this email address, placeholder, I can call this your email address. Below the email address, we can have the telephone number. So I type here telephone number. So input type, change this to tel. Name, we call this tel number. Placeholder, I can type here your telephone number. Then we go down, we paste again. So I'll type here comments. So input, now here instead of using input, we will use a text area instead. So I'll type here text area. Name, I call it comments. You can leave it as it is. So let's add a placeholder here. I can say your comments. So below the text area, you're going to have our button. So you can use the input or you can use the button element. Input type, that is submit. You give it a name, submit. You can use any other name. And then you have value. You can call this submit or send. So that's all. So if I run my page here, you will discover that, let's run. So you can see here is our form, but as you can see, my controls are not placed properly. So how do I make my inputs and my text area and my buttons to use Bootstrap? So in Bootstrap, it's very easy. I'll just go to each input. So after the word required, for the first name, for example, we'll say class is equals to form control. Select form control. So if I come and refresh now, you'll notice now that your first name will appear like that. I'll do the same for the last name input. I say class is equals to form control. I'll do the same for the email. We'll say class is equals to form control. For the tell, after required, I'll say class is equals to form control. And also I'll do the same for the text area. I'll say class is equals to form control. So if I come and refresh now, you notice now that my controls now have changed and they are responsive now. So for the submit button, I'm going to give it a class. This one I'll just say btn to create a Bootstrap button, and maybe you can call this btn-s. I can use success, so that now we can have a Bootstrap button that is green in color. So to separate this, I'm going to use I can use a HR. HR looks good to me. So if I refresh now, you can see now you have a horizontal rule there in place, and my button is placed at the left. So if you want your button to be placed at the center, what we'll do, we are going to create a div, and then we're going to attach that in a CSS file. So we are going to use CSS here. So I can highlight that button, I cut. So I can create a div class, I call it buttons. So we can say dot buttons, we tab and enter, then I paste there. So I'll come to my project. I'm going to create a new directory called CSS, where we are going to have our own CSS. Then in CSS, I'll create a new style sheet. I can call these, maybe I can call it form styles, or you can use any other name. So in my lesson 5, I'm going to attach my form styles.css immediately below bootstrap.css line. So I'll press enter. So type link rel, that is style sheet, href, now that will be css / form styles.css. So in my form styles.css, I'm going to now style the button. So I'll say dot buttons. I'll open a curly brace. So we'll display, flex, align items, center, and justify content center. So if I come and refresh my page now, my button is placed at the center. So also on this right side, so if you look at this form, it's 100% responsive. So there's this other empty column where we'll have our logo and we can have some contact details. So I can go to the other call SM6 now. So in this case, we are going to start with an image. So let's have a logo. So I can take this logo of mine, can even download one copy, come and paste it in your images folder. I'll just retain the name logo, that's fine. Then I'll use here img, you tab source, now that will be images/logo, alt, we'll call that logo. So we can give it a width of 100% with a height. Let's say we can give it a height of 180. So if I come and refresh my page here, so you can see here we have our logo and it automatically fits on the entire width of the page. So I can increase that height to, let's say, 200. There we are. So you can see my logo is kind of it's kind of pixelated, so you can put it in form of a div. But if you have a HD logo, that's fine. So for now, I'll just work with that. Then below the image, we can have maybe something like a HR, a horizontal rule, so that if I refresh, now we can have our rule placed there, and below the HR, now we can have our H4. Maybe you can use H4. So here we can say Inceptor ICT Training Center. So you can duplicate there. You can type these, maybe email. You can say admin@inceptor.co.ke. Then you can duplicate that. We can have something like a website. Can call these something like www.inceptor.co.ke. So if I come and refresh my page here, you can see this information appears here. So you can center those details. So just say H4 class is equals to tech, TEC. So you'll see text center. So that now these details can be centered. So I can copy that, I paste there and paste there again. So if I come and refresh my page, there we are. So here I can duplicate that. So maybe you can say Kenya House Complex, and then second floor. So this second floor, we can place it down. So we can duplicate this. So here we can call this second floor. Koinange Street. So this ND, we are going to use the superscript element. So I'll capt space type SUP tab, paste there, go back, there we are. So if we come and refresh our page, so you can see this detail is coming here. So we can use a horizontal rule there so that we can have our image in place, so that at least this logo can be placed slightly downwards, so that they can be at level with your text. So basically that is how you create a responsive Bootstrap form, because if you try to resize the screen size, you will discover that even if I scroll down, you can view all the other content of the page. So we can still style this further using CSS. So I can go to my formstyles.css. I can come up here. So we can start with body. So the body, we can give it a background. Let's give it a background of red, but I'll use a very light red. So I can say pale violet red. So if I refresh, it will appear like that. Or I can use a lighter color. I can use light red. So let's say light red, light R. Just say light. So you control space. So we can pick another color. Maybe you can use light pink. Can use that light pink. So that now when I come here, it will change to a lighter, at least that's brighter. Also for this div, we can give it some styling. So the first call SM6, we can add a class name. So we can call it call1. So we come to our form styles, we say dot call1. So we can have that. So we can have some background. Maybe I can use dark red. I can use padding of 20 pixel. I can also do a border radius of maybe 20 px. So if I come and refresh my page, so you can see it appears like that. So I can style my labels further. So I say label. So we'll say color white, and then I can say size, that is the font size. I can use 18px. So if I come and refresh, you can see that my labels change. So this we can change this button color. So instead of using BTN success, we can still use another color, a different color that at least matches the theme. So for the button, you can just change the color. So you can come here, value is equals to send class. I can say BTN. I can use something like dark. Use dark, so that now when I refresh, my button will now be dark gray in color. So basically that is how you create a responsive Bootstrap form, and we have been able to do some styling with CSS so that it looks good, so that now when you resize, now everything now is in place, it falls into place. Otherwise, thank you very much and see you in the next lesson.